So, you're young, or at least you feel you are. You have time. It feels like a vast open field, stretching out further than you can even see. You have plans, ambitions, a whole life that's yet to happen. And right now, you're in the middle of it all. The rush, the choices, the noise. But I'd like to invite you to press pause, just for a moment. Imagine for a second that you could sit down, face to face, with the person you will become. Not in 5 years, not in 10, but in 50. That older version of you, the one who has lived the life you're currently building. What do you think they would say? What would they want you to know right now about the path you're on? Would they congratulate you on your busyness? Would they admire your endless scrolling, your constant hustle for things that might not matter? Or would they look at you with eyes full of a quiet, hard-won understanding and whisper something else entirely? Today's video is that conversation. It's a message from a place you haven't arrived at yet. It's not about fear or preaching or telling you what to do. It's about wisdom, the kind that only comes from looking back over a whole lifetime. It's about the regrets that are too late to fix and the truths that are too precious to miss. If you're listening to this, it means you're curious. You're thinking about the deeper currents of your life, not just the surface waves. And that is the very first, most important step. This channel is a space for exactly this kind of thinking, for gentle exploration, not loud answers. If today's talk feels like it's speaking directly to you, if it gives you something real to hold on to, then you belong here. I'd be so grateful if you'd help this community grow by hitting that like button. It lets the algorithm know this content matters. Consider subscribing for more of these quiet conversations. And please share your own thoughts in the comments below. What is one thing you hope your future self would thank you for? Your perspective is a vital part of this. So, let's begin. Let's listen to what old age wants to say. Our first message is perhaps the most urgent, and it's about the one thing we believe we have in endless supply, but we are always, always wrong about. Let's start with the foundation of everything: time. When you are young, time is an abstract concept. It's a number on a birthday card. It's the distance between school terms or the countdown to a holiday. It feels like a background resource, like air. You don't think about breathing it in, you just do. You believe on a deep, unexamined level that there will always be more, that later is a real place you can visit, a storage unit where you can safely deposit your dreams, your relationships, your curiosity, and your joy. You say, "I'll do that when I have more time." You think, "I'll reconnect with them when things calm down." You promise yourself, "I'll start living my life after." The first thing old age wants you to know is this: later is a myth. After never comes. The life you are postponing for, the life of less stress, more freedom, deeper connection, that life is not a destination at the end of a long journey. It is the journey itself. And you are missing it, payment by payment, while you wait to cash in a check that doesn't exist. Think about it. How do you spend your days right now? Not in broad strokes, but in the tiny increments. The 10 minutes you spend scrolling while waiting for the kettle to boil. The half-hour commute you spend listening to a podcast just to get through it. The evening you spend watching something you don't even like because you're too mentally tired to choose something else. These are not neutral moments. These are the currency of your life. You are trading them for distraction, for numbness, for a sense of passing the time until the real time begins. But what if the real time is this? What if this ordinary Tuesday, with its slightly gray sky and its mundane tasks, is the very fabric of the life you will one day look back on? Old age looks back and doesn't see a highlight reel of birthdays and promotions. It sees the texture of the Tuesdays. It remembers the quality of the light in your first apartment, the specific sound of a friend's laugh that you haven't heard in decades, the feeling of your child's hand, small and trusting, in yours on a walk to nowhere in particular. These are not the events you planned for. These are the moments that happened while you were busy making other plans. The regret that forms here is quiet, but immense. It is not for the big, dramatic failures. It is for the sheer, staggering volume of ordinary life that was not attended to. It is the regret of absence, of being physically in a room with someone you love, but mentally composing a work email, of visiting a beautiful place, but seeing it mostly through the screen of your phone, framing it for others, instead of letting it frame your own experience. You were there, but you were not present. And presence is the only coin that has any value in the economy of a meaningful life. This creates a habit, a groove in the neural pathway of your being. You begin to relate to your own life in a functional way. Your career becomes a series of tasks to complete. Your relationships become a series of obligations to manage. Your hobbies become items on a self-improvement checklist. You are operating the machinery of your life, but you are no longer feeling the wind on your skin. You are managing the calendar, but you are missing the seasons. Let's take a concrete example. Imagine your friendships from your early 20s. Remember the ease of it? The spontaneous decisions to drive somewhere at midnight? The long, meandering conversations about everything and nothing that lasted until dawn? Now, fast forward to now. How do you maintain those friendships? Likely through scheduled catch-ups, often canceled, brief text exchanges that are more about logistics than revelation. You tell yourself you're all just busy, that this is what adulthood is, and part of that is true, but part of it is a choice to let the functional, the planned dinner, the birthday card, replace the essential, the shared, unscripted, vulnerable experience of growing alongside another human being. The connection is slowly replaced by coordination, and one day you realize you have a history with someone, but you no longer have a present. You are friends in memory only. Old age sits with this knowledge. It holds the photo albums, both physical and mental, and it feels the ghost of those connections. It doesn't regret the friendships that ended in a fight. It mourns the ones that faded away from simple, chronic neglect, because those are the ones that whisper, "You could have kept this. You just chose not to." This isn't about guilt. This is about awareness. Old age isn't pointing a finger. It's holding up a mirror. It's showing you the pattern so you can see it while you still have a chance to weave a different one. The busyness you wear as a badge of honor, the packed calendar, the overflowing inbox, it will not be what you remember. What you will remember are the gaps in that busyness, the silence you could have filled with a real conversation, the walk you didn't take, the book you didn't read for pleasure, the afternoon you spent worrying instead of living. The psychology behind this is about what we call time perspective. When you are young, you are almost exclusively future-oriented. Your happiness is perpetually contingent on something that hasn't happened yet. The degree, the job, the partner, the house, the promotion, the savings goal. There is always a horizon you are chasing. This is natural and to an extent necessary, but it becomes a trap when you never allow yourself to arrive. When you never shift into a present-oriented perspective and actually inhabit the life you have worked so hard to create. You become a ghost in your own present, haunting it on behalf of a future self who may not even want what you are sacrificing for. That future self, old age, looks back and sees a person who was so anxious to build a life that they forgot to live inside it. They see someone who confused having a life with managing a project. So what is the alternative? It's not about quitting your job or abandoning responsibility. It's much simpler and much harder. It's about a change in the quality of your attention. It's about noticing the steam rising from your coffee cup just for a 3-second pause. It's about actually tasting the food you eat instead of consuming it while staring at a screen. It's about, when you are with someone you care about, making a conscious effort to let your to-do list dissolve for just 15 minutes and really listen to the sound of their voice, watch the expressions on their face. It's about reclaiming the mundane moments and infusing them with a tiny bit of reverence, because these are the moments that will become your past. You are not waiting for your life to start. You are curating it right now, with every minute you choose to be present or choose to be absent. The great irony that old age understands is that the only way to build a future you won't regret is to stop over-investing in the future. It is to invest fiercely and tenderly in the present. The relationship you nurture today is the one that will be there in 50 years. The curiosity you feed today is the one that will keep your mind alive. The joy you allow yourself to feel today for no reason at all is the memory that will warm you from the inside when your body grows cold. This is the first and perhaps most important message. Time is not waiting for you, it is passing through you, and you are its custodian. The regrets of old age are not about the years that went by too fast. They are about all the life that was missed within those years because the mind was always somewhere else. This realization, this understanding of time as a current rather than a reservoir, naturally leads us to the second message. Because when you live for a future that never arrives, you build a certain kind of life. And that life, even if it is full of people and achievements, can house a profound and silent emptiness. It leads us to the heart of a specific kind of loneliness.
There's a loneliness that doesn't come from being alone. It's more subtle, and in many ways, more desolate. It's the loneliness of being surrounded by the life you built, a family, a home, a career, and feeling, in your quietest moments, like a ghost in its hallways. You are present, but you are not connected. You are seen, but you are not known. This is the second thing old age wants you to understand. You can spend a lifetime gathering people around you and still end up in a room of your own making that echoes with silence. Think of your social world now. It's likely a network of roles and functions. You are an employee, a colleague, a friend, a partner, a child, a parent. Each role comes with a script, a set of expected dialogues. You ask about work, about health, about plans. You discuss logistics, news, superficial worries. These conversations are the mortar that holds the bricks of your daily life together. They are necessary, but they are not nourishing. They are about coordination, not communion. Over years, you can become so fluent in these functional dialogues that you forget how to speak the other language, the language of the inner world, the language of fear, of quiet wonder, of unanswerable questions, of raw, unprocessed feeling. You create a performative self, a capable, competent version of you that handles things, and slowly that persona becomes the only one you and everyone else knows how to access. The more vulnerable, curious, fragile, or whimsical parts of you get tucked away. You think, this isn't the time, or they don't need to hear this, or I should be stronger than this. But those tucked away parts don't disappear. They go dormant. And over decades, a profound disconnect grows. You sit at the dinner table with your partner of 20 years, talking about the dishwasher repair and your child's school project, and a vast, silent canyon stretches between you. A canyon filled with all the things you haven't said. the dreams you quietly abandoned, the secret fears about aging and irrelevance, the small resentments that felt too petty to mention but have now fossilized into a low wall of distance. You love each other, but you are no longer explorers in each other's inner landscapes. You are co-managers of an estate. This is not a failure of love. It is a failure of practice. Intimacy is not a static state you achieve when you get married or move in together. It is a daily practice of revelation. It is the courageous, gentle act of saying, "This is what I'm really feeling today," even if it's messy, and the equally courageous act of listening without immediately trying to fix it. When that practice stops, intimacy doesn't just stall, it atrophies. Like a muscle left unused, it becomes weak, and eventually it becomes painful to even try to use it. And then there are the friendships. Old age looks back at the photo of a group of friends, faces beaming, arms around each other, and feels two things simultaneously: a warm glow of memory and a cold ache of loss. Not loss from death, but from drift. The slow, almost imperceptible drift that happens when your shared daily context vanishes. You move cities, you get different jobs, you have children, your realities diverge. Staying connected begins to require effort, intentional planning, expensive travel, conversations that must bridge growing gaps in experience. And so often, we take the easier path. We let the friendship become a history, a fond memory, rather than a living, breathing, sometimes challenging present reality. We replace the 2-hour phone call with a few likes on a social media post. We tell ourselves, "They know I'm here for them," while doing nothing to demonstrate it. The connection becomes theoretical. And one day, you need a friend, not for a crisis, but for the deep, nameless loneliness of adulthood. And you look at your phone and realize there is no one you feel you can call without feeling like a burden. You have a network, but you lack a confidant.
This is the architecture of the empty room. You've built the house, you've filled it with people who play important roles, but you haven't built the spaces for raw, unvarnished truth. You haven't installed the comfortable, worn-in chairs where two souls can sit in silence without it being awkward. The house is full of activity, but the room where your true self lives is empty because you've stopped inviting anyone in there, and you've even stopped visiting it yourself.
When the present feels thin, when the connections around you feel like polite performances, the mind does not always look forward. Often, it turns and walks with a quiet determination into a place it has built over a lifetime, the museum of the past. This is not a library of facts, it is a gallery of feelings. Here, memories are not stored as they happened, but as they feel through the soft, golden filter of nostalgia. The light is always kinder here. The edges are blurred. The sounds are muffled, save for a specific laugh or a fragment of a song. This museum is where old age spends a great deal of its time, and it wants you to know what it finds there. Think of a memory from your childhood. Not a birthday or a holiday, but an ordinary moment. The way the sun made a rectangle of light on your childhood bedroom floor in the late afternoon. The smell of a specific meal cooking in your grandmother's kitchen. The weight and texture of a beloved, ragged, stuffed animal. When you recall these things, you don't just remember them, you are briefly there. You feel a pang, a physical pull in your chest. That is nostalgia. It is memory experienced as a form of homesickness for a place, a time, and most painfully, for a version of yourself that you can no longer reach. Nostalgia is a beautiful liar. It edits out the boredom, the anxieties, the frustrations of the past. It presents a curated exhibition of peak emotional moments.
The first taste of freedom, the intensity of a young love, the boundless energy of a body that could run without pain and stay awake until dawn. Old age walks through these galleries and is simultaneously warmed and wounded. It is warmed by the evidence that it lived, that it felt deeply. It is wounded by the visceral knowledge that those specific sensations are gone forever. You can remember the feeling of your mother's hand on your forehead when you were sick, but you can never again feel it as that child felt it. That particular quality of safety is a relic preserved behind glass. The regret here is not for the past itself, it is for your inattention within it. Nostalgia highlights not just what was, but what you failed to notice while it was happening. You look at the mental photograph of a beach day with your young family. Nostalgia bathes it in perfect, sunset light. But old age, with its painful clarity, sees something else. It sees that you were worried about the sunburn, annoyed by the sand in the food, preoccupied with taking the perfect picture to prove you were happy. You were there, orchestrating the memory, but you were not submerged in the experience of it. The regret is for the moments you sacrificed to the future even then, the moments you spent documenting a life instead of living it. This is why memories of failure often hurt less than memories of missed presents. A professional failure can be rationalized. The market shifted. You weren't ready. You learned a lesson. But the memory of your child's 6th birthday party, where you spent the whole time stressed about the logistics and now can't recall the sound of their laughter that day, that is a different kind of wound. It is a hollow space. It's not a scar, it's an absence. It's the ghost of a feeling you were too distracted to have. The museum is filled with sensory exhibits. A certain song from your teenage years comes on, and suddenly you are not in your car, you are in a friend's basement, the air thick with shared foolishness and infinite possibility. The scent of a particular flower can pull you into a garden you haven't visited in 40 years. These sensory portals are powerful because they bypass the thinking brain and speak directly to the emotional core. They are immediate and uncontrollable. But with them comes the companion thought. I didn't know that would be the last time. The last time all your school friends would be in one room. The last long, easy conversation with your father before his mind began to change. The last time you felt truly light and unburdened. We never get a notification for the last time. We only recognize it in retrospect, when the museum has already cataloged it as a precious, final artifact. Old age holds these last times in its hands, turning them over and over, wondering why it didn't hold on tighter in the moment. This is not meant to paralyze you with the fear of missing out. It is meant to illuminate a truth. The past becomes nostalgia. The present becomes the past. Therefore, the only way to build a kind past is to be utterly present in your present. The quality of your attention today is the quality of your nostalgia tomorrow. If your attention is fragmented, anxious, and future-focused, your future nostalgia will be tinged with the regret of absence. If your attention is whole, gentle, and receptive, your future nostalgia will be a warmer, kinder country to visit. Old age also discovers something else in the museum. It finds that the people in the memories begin to feel more real than the people in the present. The friend you knew at 25, frozen in time as adventurous and open, is more vivid to you than the cautious, settled 50-year-old they have become. Your parents, as you knew them in your childhood, are more immediate presences than the elderly strangers they may have become, or the ghosts they now are. This is because the memory is static. It doesn't change, argue, disappoint, or drift away. It is a safe, controlled relationship. You can visit it without risk. This is a dangerous comfort. It can lead you to prefer the company of ghosts to the company of living, complicated, changing people.
it can make the present feel even more disappointing because it can never compete with the perfected past. The regret here is subtler. It is the regret of allowing your heart to take refuge in a museum instead of a home, of loving memories more than the messy, flawed, beautiful reality of the people who are still here. So what is old age's message from the museum? It is a plea for mindful curation. It is saying, start collecting different artifacts. Be the archaeologist of your own current life. Don't just collect achievements and milestones. Collect sensations. Collect small, perfect moments of connection. It looks like this. Tonight, when you hug someone you love, don't let it be a pat on the back. Let it be a full 3-second pause where you feel the solidity of them, the warmth, the reality. Memorize that feeling. Put it in the museum. When you taste something delicious, close your eyes for just a second. Let the taste be the only thing in your mind. Archive that. When you hear your child or a friend tell a story with genuine excitement, watch their face. Don't just listen to the words. Absorb the animation in their eyes, the gestures of their hands. Preserve that. You are not just living, you are a curator, selecting the exhibits for your future self, and you get to choose, will your future museum be a beautiful but heartbreaking gallery of things you were too busy to properly see? Or will it be a warm, rich treasury of moments you fully received, felt, and honored as they happened? The pain of nostalgic regret is, in the end, a teacher. Its lesson is simple but profound. Do not wait to be nostalgic for something to appreciate it. Appreciate it now, with a fierceness that borders on grief, precisely because you know it will one day be a memory. Love the chaos of your current life. Be thankful for the mess, the noise, the exhaustion, because it is evidence of a life being lived, not just managed. One day, the silence will come, and when it does, you will walk through your museum, and instead of aching with the pain of absence, you will feel the deep, satisfying fullness of a life that was truly attended to. This understanding that presence is the antidote to the most painful regrets leads us out of the museum. It turns us away from the perfected past and back towards the imperfect, fleeting, precious present. It points us towards a final, quiet form of knowledge. Not the knowledge of what we did, but the knowledge of what truly matters. This is where regret finally stops being a torment and begins, slowly, to transform into something else, something quieter, something like wisdom. And that is the final message waiting for us.
After the noise of striving fades, after the echoes of regret have been heard, a different kind of quiet settles in. It is not the empty quiet of loneliness. It is a full quiet, a quiet that contains understanding. This is where the final and perhaps most gentle message resides. It is not shouted from a mountaintop of achievement. It is whispered from a chair by a window in the soft light of a late afternoon. Old age wants to tell you what is left when everything else is stripped away. The first thing you learn is that almost everything you thought was important wasn't. The prestige, the status symbols, the need to be right in arguments, the accumulation of possessions meant to signal your success to others, these things fall away like old paint, revealing the bare wood beneath. They lose their meaning because they were never meant to sustain a soul. They were ornaments. And in the quiet, you no longer feel the need for ornaments. You crave substance. Think of the weight of 1,000 worries you carry now. The presentation that feels life or death, the perceived slight from a colleague that ruins your day, the anxiety over what someone thinks of your car, your home, your clothes. From the vantage point of old age, these are like watching a storm through a window. You can see the rain lashing, the wind bending the trees, but you are inside and you are dry. The storm is real, but it is not you. The lesson is this: you are not your crises. You are the space in which they occur.
And that space is vaster and more resilient than you can possibly imagine when you are in the middle of the weather. So what remains? What is the substance that the quiet reveals? It is very simple, and because of its simplicity, it is easy to miss for a lifetime. What remains is people. Not the people as functions, but the people as souls. The feeling of a hand in yours, the sound of a voice that knows your history, the comfort of a silence shared with someone who doesn't need to fill it. Not the grand declarations of love, but the small daily enactments of it, the cup of tea made just how you like it, the blanket fetched without being asked, the remembering of a story you told only once. These are the treasures. They have no market value. They cannot be displayed. They can only be felt, exchanged, and held in the heart. What remains is experience, not the checklist of destinations visited, but the handful of moments where you were truly awestruck. The scent of pine in a cold mountain forest, the crushing silence of a vast desert, the way the light danced on water on one particular evening. These moments of pure perception where the self falls away and you are just a witness to beauty. These are the jewels. They are internal. No one can take them from you. What remains is the relationship with yourself. After a lifetime of performing for the world, you finally meet the person behind the performance, and the great surprise, the great relief, is that they are okay. Flawed, yes, full of mistakes, absolutely, but also resilient, capable of love, and ultimately worthy of your own kindness. The war with yourself ends. A truce is called. You finally extend to yourself the compassion you so readily gave to others. Old age's wisdom is not a list of commands. It is a series of permissions. It gives you permission to stop proving. You don't have to prove your worth, your intelligence, your strength anymore. You simply are, and that is enough. It gives you permission to prefer peace over being right. You see how many battles were fought over territories that no one ended up wanting. You let the need to win dissolve, and in its place, you find a profound calm. It gives you permission to delight in small things, the precision of a bird building a nest, the intricate pattern of frost on a window, the perfect ripeness of a pear. Your capacity for wonder does not diminish, it refines. It finds its focus in the minute, the close at hand, the everyday miracle. This wisdom also understands time in its final form. You see that time is not linear, it is a mosaic. The child you were, the striving adult you became, and the older person you are now all exist simultaneously within you. The memory of skinned knees is as immediate as yesterday's ache in your back. The love you felt at 20 is the same love you feel now, just quieter, deeper. You stop seeing your life as a line moving toward an end and start seeing it as a room you have been furnishing your whole life. Every version of you is still in that room. The goal is not to reach the far wall. The goal is to make peace with all the inhabitants. And here is the central, quiet revelation. Regret itself is transformed. It is no longer a lashing whip. It becomes a tender, sorrowful, and ultimately grateful teacher. You regret not to torture yourself, but because the regret is proof that you cared, proof that love was there, proof that something mattered enough to leave a scar when it was lost. You understand that a life without regret is not a life well lived. It is a life not fully loved. The depth of your regret is a testament to the depth of your engagement with the world. So what do you do with this quiet voice? You don't launch a new ambitious project called Living Wisely. You simply begin to subtract. You subtract the unnecessary obligations that drain your spirit. You subtract the conversations that are full of gossip and complaint. You subtract the clutter, both physical and mental, that clouds your view.
You create space, and into that space you gently invite only what is real, a true conversation, a genuine feeling, a moment of pure observation. The final skill old age masters is the skill of letting go, not with bitterness, but with a soft sigh. You let go of the need to control outcomes. You let go of the image of how life was supposed to be. You let go of old grudges, not because the hurt wasn't real, but because carrying it is too heavy and you are tired. You let go of your children, truly, wishing them their own journey, not a copy of yours. This letting go is not loss, it is the ultimate liberation. It is making your soul light enough to appreciate whatever moments remain. This is the message then, from the quiet chair by the window to you, wherever you are in your busy, noisy, beautiful struggle. Slow down, not your productivity, but your perception. Look people in the eye, see them, let them see you. Say the tender thing, the I love you, the I'm proud of you, the I was wrong. Touch the world directly. Put the screen down and feel the bark of a tree, the weight of a book, the warmth of skin. Forgive yourself over and over. You were learning. You still are. Old age's wisdom is not a better past. It offers you a different present. It offers you the chance to live the rest of your time, whether that's 50 years or 5, with a different quality of attention. To build a present so rich, so felt, so truly lived, that one day you will sit in that quiet and you will not be filled with the sharp pain of regret, but the soft, sorrowful, and deeply peaceful satisfaction of a soul that showed up for its own life. The wisdom is not in avoiding the storm, it is in learning to find a profound, unshakable calm within it. It is knowing, finally, what is wood and what is ornament, and choosing from now on to build with wood. This quiet voice is the final gift. It is the map to what actually matters. It has been speaking all along. Your future self is whispering it to you now. The only question is, will you slow down enough to listen?
And so, we arrive here, at the end of this particular conversation, but not, I hope, at the end of your own reflection. These messages about time, loneliness, memory, and quiet wisdom, they aren't meant to be absorbed in one sitting. They are seeds. Plant them in the back of your mind. Let them sit in the quiet soil of your awareness. They will germinate in their own time, often when you least expect it, in a pause between meetings, in the stillness before sleep, in a moment of friction with someone you love. If today has stirred something in you, a recognition, a tenderness, a resolve to look at your life with slightly different eyes, then this time has been well spent. That stirring is everything. It is the beginning of a different relationship with your own existence. It is the younger you beginning to listen to the older you, and in doing so, bridging a gap that hasn't even fully formed yet. You might be wondering, where do I go from here? The answer is not a dramatic life overhaul. It is a subtle shift in priority. Tonight, perhaps you'll choose to put your phone in another room for an hour. Maybe you'll ask a question that begins with, "How do you feel about?" instead of, "What's the plan for?" Maybe you'll simply sit for 5 minutes and do nothing but breathe, and notice what it feels like to be in your body, in this room, on this planet. These are not small things. These are revolutionary acts in a world designed to pull your attention everywhere but here. This channel exists to be a companion in that subtle shift, a place to return to when the noise of the world gets too loud and you need a reminder of the signal, a space where we can explore the depth of human experience, not just the surface. If you've found value here today, if this feels like a conversation you want to continue, your support makes that possible.
Liking this video is a powerful way to say, "This matters." It tells the algorithm that content with depth, with stillness, has a place here. It helps these words find their way to others who might need to hear them. Subscribing is like pulling up a chair to this quiet circle. It means you'll be here for the next conversation, the next exploration into the psychology of being human. You can turn on notifications so you don't miss it, but there's no pressure. Come by whenever you need a moment of reflection. And the comments, they are perhaps the most important part. This isn't a monologue, it's the beginning of a dialogue. Please share your thoughts. What part resonated most? What is one small way you'll try to be more present this week? Your insight doesn't just add to the conversation, it becomes the conversation. It helps all of us feel less alone in our questions. I know this is heavy material. It sits with weight. It's okay to sit with that weight. You don't need to fix everything you might regret or fear right now. The goal today was not to solve, but to see, to bring a kind, clear light to the path you're on. The choices you make from that place of clearer seeing will be different. They will be your own. And because today we've only begun to scratch the surface of a life lived without regret, of building a future you can look back on with peace, the conversation must continue. The very next video on this channel is a crucial next step. It's titled The Psychology of the Last Time: How to Live Before the Moment Passes. This video is especially for you if today's talk about memory and presence struck a chord. It will help you go deeper. It breaks down the psychological mechanisms that make us miss our own lives and offers practical, gentle frameworks for how to stop letting the most precious moments slip through your fingers. It is the practical companion to the philosophy we've discussed today. You'll find it right here on the screen now, and I truly believe it will add another essential piece to this puzzle of living a life that feels full, not just full of activity. So, from my quiet space to yours, thank you for listening. Thank you for the courage it takes to look inward. Carry what was useful, leave what was not. And remember, the most profound wisdom isn't about adding years to your life, it's about adding life to your years. And you can start that project anytime. Even now. Be kind to yourself. The journey is long, and you are doing the best you can. Goodbye for now.